tips on how to work in ways that are reversible or toggleable. So one of those ways is making things reversible, and that would be like using layer masks or specific adjustment layers that you can continue to change over time. For example, I'm going to add a black and white adjustment to this, which I can do with the black and white adjustment layer. You can see now that this is converted to true grayscale, and as I work I can adjust the way that different color channels affect that grayscale filter. But notice that as I'm doing this, these are all values I can continue to toggle even after I move off of the layer that I just created. So I can easily come back and change those values. So these are reversible things, and this is a toggleable layer that I can turn on and off. All right. Another similar idea, moving specifically into toggleable things, would be when I want to start to get in here and repair some of the trouble areas here. Rather than selecting this layer and going in and actually making those repairs on the layer, such as with the spot healing brush, and just doing them right away on the layer like that, as much as that seems to solve the problem by fixing it right on the actual layer, it's not toggleable. It's not something that we can turn on and off to evaluate its effect. So instead what we want to do, I'm just going to step back in the history and remove those few changes. Instead what we want to do is create a new layer, and then in situations like this we want to sample all of the layers. And what's going to happen is I'm going to make sure that layer is selected as I start doing these spot healings. The changes are actually going to be made on that separate layer. So as I go through and start cleaning up a few of these little spots, I'm going to use a larger brush on this one. And just to show contrast, I'm going to go in here to a couple of the little ones on this man's uniform. Okay, as just a sample, all of those changes have been made on this layer here. Okay, which means that I can turn it off to see the effect that's being achieved. Okay, so that is toggleable and essentially therefore reversible, because I can turn it on and off and restore back what I had before. Last of all, when you get to a point where you want to apply an overall filter, such as through the filter commands here, many of these are going to run on the image and then be done. And so a good practice would be to make sure that you have a duplicate layer of all of your active changes before you make such an adjustment. So normally I would finish out all of the different patches that I want to do so that I eliminate all of those different blemishes. And then what I can do is basically merge all of my changes here into a new layer by first duplicating them and then merging those duplicates. So I can group my older settings, and now I have a new merge, but I can basically walk back and recover any of the old stuff if I change my mind later. But I might for now name this as original adjustments, and now turn those off and continue moving forward with this. So bottom line is that as I go in here and start to do something like sharpening, the unsharp mask, aiming to improve some of the crispness around the edges here and there, that is something that I can turn on and off to see its effect, and potentially even blend down with the other adjustments. So here are a few tips on how to make things toggleable and reversible.